Usually celebrities, be it political, sports, show business, they vary from very nice people to people who they have to be taken care of because they're customers. I always remember with the one that I liked, they did the same thing every time, was Milton Berle. Milton Berle would come into the store and everybody would crowd around and be standing there. Go over and he'd buy a cigar at the counter and he'd take it and he'd take the cigar, light a match, put the cigar in his nose and say, "Oops, I'm sorry, I thought I was taller." Always had a laugh. I don't think I ever dreamt of business growing to where it is, or me even being involved in it all the time. But if you do something, you gotta do it right. If it was a small company, it wouldn't go away.
You know, I think our dad always had the mentality of you kind of keep your head down, you don't really celebrate too much, and you know, instead of celebrating the win or the things, it's what's next.
Our grandfather started this business, our dad and mom nourished it, and you know, now we sit here as the next generation to take it to the next level, but I still think we're such a young company, and there's so much more in front of us.
85 years is something to think about. There is a lot more to do, a lot more work, but it is nice to take a breath and say, happy birthday, 85 years, NatSherman.
The true test will be how we take it into the future, how we grow and expand NatSherman, how we develop our product lines, how we continue to treat our customers and hope for their loyalty. What are the similarities between my grandfather and my dad? And something I think that is very common that he shared with my grandfather, stubbornness, which is one of the things I think that's helped him.
Certainly their conviction and determination, stubbornness certainly are character traits that I think run through the family.
I think it's that inner strength is a quality they share, and the way that people are drawn to them. People loved my grandfather in a different way, but they still loved him, and people love my dad in a very similar way to that.
Yeah, he certainly likes to get his opinion in and make sure that he's heard.
And I think he wants to be the center of it, right? I mean,
he enjoys it. He certainly does, and I certainly think that you know, they're both very charismatic people.
I would say their similarities are the creativeness and the way that they handle business. My dad, when we're having coffee or conversation, you know, he loves to talk about business and to think of the next idea or how we should market ourselves or what we should be doing. And you know, it just keeps coming, which is really amazing. And I think they both had that.
In essence, they're both brand builders, right?
Yeah. He lived on the 4th floor, 65th Street in Central Park West. You know, for the Thanksgiving Day parade, we would, you know, all gather there. There was all of our cousins and friends and family have breakfast and watch the parade. And that's where the pigeon used to be, right?
Pop would, you know, fly back and forth from Florida to New York, and I always thought that was a really cool thing because no one ever, you know, had two houses or went back and forth. So he had Wesley the pigeon, and Wesley would follow him down to Florida, and we'd talk, and he'd tell me about how Wesley was doing. And you know, he'd come back, and you know, Wesley was come back. His arms are really tired, and we go over there for the Thanksgiving Day parades. And I'm like, okay, I'm finally going to meet Wesley. And of course, he's still flying back from Florida or something. So for years and years, I thought he had this pet pigeon that was flying back and forth, and I never met him.
Since I am the only female in a male-dominating business and family, he used to always say to me, "Are you beautiful?" And I would say, "I don't know, Pops, you know. I was a little kid, so I was, you know, you caught me off guard. He was coming at me like this, and I would go, I don't know." He'd go, "Are you beautiful?" And I'd say, "Pops, I don't know." He goes, "Are you beautiful?" And I'd say, "Yes." And he goes, "You bet you are." That's what he used to do all the time to me. And it was like he was, in his own way, I think, trying to give me confidence.
You know, I think I was probably 6 or 7 years old, you go, your grandfather tells you that he's going to buy you a lion, you immediately go and tell everyone in the neighborhood. So he would send me pictures and stuff of the lions from the Central Park Zoo at the time, or the Bronx Zoo, and how he was buddies with the zookeeper and how this was all going to happen. And I think probably through my persistence, because I don't think he ever really intended to tell me the truth that he wasn't going to buy me a lion. But he tried to tell me, if we got you the lion, they're going to have to pull out all the teeth, and are you going to be happy with that? Or, they're going to have to, declaw it, and it's not going to be able to, walk and stuff like that. I said, I really couldn't care, Pop. I just want the freaking lion. So, and for me, I think that was kind of the epitome of my grandfather. And so I always had this impression that my grandfather was going to be able to make everything okay, or had some magical way to create something.